Look at that backslide. That was clean. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at a Patreon request. Shout out to Jay for the request. I'm very excited to look at this, and my apologies for the delay, side note, but we're here for this. We got &TEAM's Koegawari, so my apologies if I completely butchered that, but this is a newer track of theirs, and I've taken a look at about 3 to 4 of their other tracks at this point, all Patreon requests. I mean, I'm telling you, Patreon's got good taste. So I'm very much intrigued on what this is going to be. We have a music video and a dance practice. I think without further ado, the best way to get started is to start. Let's go. Maybe I'll know the pronunciation after they say it. Because they're wolves. I'm excited for the choreo. It looks fun. I see some subtleties. Ooh.
Don't think I can feel anymore, feel anymore, feel anymore. I should feel it, and make it let her feel it right now. I can't anymore, can't anymore, can't anymore. So let we're changing, feel like we're changing right now. I should feel it, and make it let her feel it.
Okay. That's fun. It's definitely a different sound in comparison to what I feel like I've heard from them, right? Also could potentially be that they are showcasing, hey, we're getting older, we're not as young as you think we are as much anymore, right? And I think that's totally fine. At least if they're not like, I don't know, 15. Like, I mean, they're still very much young if they are. But I definitely think that this is a very fun, different kind of approach in comparison to some of the other ones I've heard from them, which is really cool. Here we go. We have the dance practice. Y'all know how it is. Let's go. And they have name tags. I'm here for that. Ooh. Look at that backslide. That was clean. And it was full too. He was able to transition it so far. Love that. Yeah. Yeah. Yuma. Dun, dun. Go to the inside. Yeah. Any more? The subtlety into that. Right now. Watch him be like the youngest one. He gets a very youthful look, so that it's a very real possibility. Ooh, little crisscross with a little transition. Not like a full smeeze, but it did feel that way, yeah? Fun. So it feels like we have an old school influence with some hybrid of more viral movements of the modern day, which is fun. That was nice. Love that. I am a fan when you have some subtleties, and when you hear these horns in the back, you're able to see them very clearly in the visual. That was also nice too. It made the glide make more sense. Seeing the beginning one, I believe it's K did. Ooh, yeah. Love that. Now I have a feeling that some of our formations could be overlaps to other tracks, so I'm not going to ignore that. I really like how it feels very standalone too. Feel anymore, feel anymore. Yeah. Beautiful add-on. And I liked where they ended up starting it too. Nice butterfly on the end. Now, fun ending. That was really enjoyable. That was great. I mean, it's still clean. I know that team, I think it's pretty safe to assume that they're going to be known in the realm of 5th gen as a clean group, but also they do more of the Japanese release side of things. It is interesting how we have like global groups that have been a trend, and then J-pop groups in a K-pop format, I guess, or like Japanese groups. I guess I'll put it that way. Japanese groups in a K-pop format here, right? Which is interesting. It's just a very fascinating kind of concept explored, which I'm here for. I like it. Because it's just a different kind of niche of sound, which I really enjoy. So this right here from the top, I love that we have an accent, and then we do a really nice speed change. We do a good reveal, and I believe so. His name is Joe. Hi, Joe. I'm Jess. And he ends up doing a pistol squat, if you're looking here. I'm assuming it gives the impression that he's pressing his weight against K as he's sliding down, so he's able to give the illusion of him being able to do a pistol squat unassisted, but he's technically being assisted, which I think is cool. Like, that's a really dope visual, and he's singing at the same time. That's also impressive. And I like how we have it mirrored, framing towards the inside with our arms subtly, connected in some way, which is nice. And then we have a little expression kind of reach out here. Now, this is a really good example of how you can have lore but also appeal to the masses. This has been a really interesting topic I've been bringing up lately, especially because of Road to Kingdom Ace of Ace has been kind of a hot topic on Patreon and YouTube, where that's a really good show that showcases, like, if you're going to pull a lore within the show, and I believe the boys did it very well. That's a really fun show to explore it with, but this is a note that I was giving to a lot of groups recently and way back. Is when you do choose to do that, you want it to be wherever, if I watch any of your videos independently, you want it to be able to tell a story of some kind. If it's a concept heavy type of show, which in Kingdom it is, you want it to be able to be standalone, but also if you do choose to want it to be a fingerprint embedded type of routine that has other things in the past that can really help justify it, lore is what we all call it in this scene, then you want it to also appeal to your fans. I think ATEEZ has done a really good job of that. I also think Luna also, and from what I've looked at in marathons. And so here I think is a really great example, because a lot of these reach outs and these textures, and of course Howling, they have the lore of the wolves, of werewolves, which I think is super cool. I don't know if it's werewolf, y'all let me know on that. I'm assuming it is, just based off of other context, but I digress. It's really nice. It definitely has like a funk influence, and you're able to see some of our choices overlap, but then some of our choices carry a more new school look about how they're presenting themselves, which I think is really fun. I love the hybrid effect, especially as long as I come from the position, as long as we're respectful of the culture in which we're getting these fundamentals from, I'm a happy camper. That's just my big thing with it all. But yeah, I hope all of that makes sense, where I mean that as a really big compliment of, I'm watching a lot of their routines out of order. I know there's lore involved, and especially on the choreography side is what I'm noticing just in these things here. I can see something like that happening in other cases. But it's a standalone, and it's really fascinating to watch. So we're going to go ahead and move on from that point, but it's really fun. I love the sway on that is fun, and they have to make sure they maintain spacing. I'm assuming Kay kind of is delegated that role to keep them connected, but their sway of their hands, the range needs to be similar, which they do very well on. And that was a very subtle add-on too. Note that you have your dancers or your members on stage right, slowly join in, and then the guys on this stage left, and then you're still singing right here, Joe is, and I like how he's looking up to kind of recognize this tree-like kind of vibe is being presented, formation, and everybody else is ending up about to knee slide away. We love ourselves a good knee slide, here for it. Kay gives him a nice little assist. He does not a quite bridge recover, but like a hinge recover, we'll call it that, just getting up. Then really nice, just a little fan kick. I think it's fun. I would say some of the pants allow for some forgiveness on the knee. We would always want to fight to have a straight leg if you're choosing to do a fan kick, but they ended up getting decent height, so that's fine, nothing crazy, and it didn't stick out in a bad way. So the reach out is fun here. It does feel like we're using their hands as a microphone. Are they? I don't think so, but I do think it's really fun how they're grabbing, and it's very stylized in the reach over. And I'm assuming that K is our feature here. I love that little turn that he does there. It's fun. He goes boom boom, nice little just presentation with the points. Definitely gives MJ influence, but I'm not saying he's carrying any sense of an MJ posture, just in the positioning and pose. And this move right here was made popular by MJ. Now notice I said backslide. It's because this move technically is not a moonwalk. That is considered a backslide. So if you're very curious about that, please go be curious. Google it, YouTube it, go look at multiple sources. Don't just take my word for it. I hope I'm a motivator, if anything, on curiosity of culture. That has been something that has been adjusted in the terminology, so that's what that is called, is a backslide. Anyway, so moving on from there, I love his fullness of that choice and how he goes, and the other members they ended up not really having to adjust as much, and they don't have a mirror to my knowledge, because it's right there, and it doesn't look like the really big hype space like we're used to seeing, which I think is totally fine. And I think this just looks really dope. How they're able to grab him, and just the spacing is really nice. You can tell the thoroughness of the rehearsing is really nice. They let him go, they bring it out, doom doom, like the slow, just trace down. Love the tension on that. And they do that's a little camel walk, but a little bit stickier, which to me ties more so together on the influence, but I'm not giving them the groove of it, because they're not doing a groove of it, which is fine. So they present, left a little brush. It's fine. So they present, boom, boom. I love that little accents happening on the close. He goes over, da-da-da-da, this is Maki. Hi, Maki. It's nice I can actually say their names here. Personally, I wish everybody had bibs on at all times because it allows it easier for people like me to be able to enjoy what we're watching, or at least say a name to some, like give a name to a face. But we can't always have it that way. But we could just celebrate this one. Thank you, Jay, for this request. This is super fun. So they go a nice little shampoo around is super enjoyable, and then do a little pas de bourrée, what Maki does, going and promoting a little bit more on the foreground, and then you have this transition between your little groupings to create a different frame. And honestly, I think it ended up helping the other members. Oh no, so sorry. So it was just our two on the most inside switch, and it actually helped integrate the newer members coming on from stage left a little bit easier, which was nice. I like the pulse on that with the chest, and then we hip all change. They go down, up, da, 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 and I like how we continue it over, and you do end up seeing in a feature later on where they end up using two hands, so I'd love that exploration. But we're here, and we're all placing our weight more towards the right side, even though we are creating more of a rotation with that knee. It just creates more weightedness, more tension behind it, which is what you want to have. And you can tell based on where their torsos are, they're setting up where you would have your weight on the right side. So from there, they have it shifted over. That little hit, they had to. Why? They lifted the right leg. So I like that we created the tension here on the first bit. So it goes over that right there. Da-da. And they go boom, accent. And then from there, notice they bring the feet closer together so they can shift the weight quickly onto the left side. They go, I like where they do the little punching snap situation that complements the knee kind of staying where it is a little bit elevated, and then they rotate that calf and that foot to make that really fun focal point. Of course, you notice his foot's a little bit kind of teetering in a sickle, so that would be my note there. Maybe his weight is not quite catered towards the ball of the foot near the big toe. That's going to make it feel more stable. So that's my little note there, Taki. If you ever watch this, that would be my note to help you feel more comfortable. Then right there, they all do a nice little heel balance. I think that was fun. So they go da 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 da. So I like that little step. It does look like a little ball change, doesn't it? Let's see. Oh no, da da da. So that felt more like a fun, subtle groove. Now, groove comes from the chest and the shoulders with support from the core and the hips. And so whenever you see something a little bit more in sauce, essence, or flavor, I always like seeing it because it showcases individuality and genuinity in whatever movement that you're doing, especially if it's a street style influenced movement. And especially in funk. So I really like that. And this does have a funk hybrid feel to it, so seeing a groove would not be off-putting. So that's my note there. But cleaning groove is harder than cleaning extremities, so that's why sometimes you don't see a groove, but that's life. Anyway, moving on. Taki's doing a nice little controlling point on the three members. They go little body roll, and they transition. Spacing was just a smidgen, like a baby smidgen off between two of them. I believe it was these two here. But that was so small, I don't really care. It's just something to note, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we go, new spot. So we have a couple guys a little bit lower. He has his moment. He goes, and I like how he bleeds over to the next phrase, new member introduced. And he's the one I was referencing, having two hands involved, not just one. It complements what we saw, but it's also building, which was really cool. I like how we take our arms and we open it up. Looks really nice. I like the switch on that too. Da da da. He does a slow little walk, and I really like that little weave through where you have people kind of intermingle and transition to their next spot that way. Looks nice. So that's Yuma. Nice. So I like the reset. Boom. That helps accent what ended up happening in the very beginning, right? Remember that boom into that little pistol squad illusion. We see that here in our reset. And I love the subtle level change on that. We have a little bit low to high, having your feature in the middle, be able to be that kind of middle ground on that. Love to see that. They all turn. Boom. Nice little, it does assume it was a little ripple, wasn't it? Ripple. Oh, one of them, I think, held off, or the height was a little bit different, which was fascinating there. They go to a new spot, and then they go into a circle. He's in the middle. Normally, circles, when you have them all the same level, especially if you look at my ATs marathon, I made this a really big note. It could have just been the size of the circle and the choreography done. But how we have our member here, Nicholas, what a very American name. Or maybe it's just a very English name. So I wonder if he is from originally a country that, or his nationality is of English based kind of vibes, or if they gave him that name. I don't know. You guys let me know. But I find that fun where you have people like Maki, Fuma, Nicholas. Like, it's just, that's really fun. Anyway, but notice that he is lower and he did a little rotation. There was a little space open so we could clearly see him. So I think there's little things like that that help make it more appropriate to entertain the same level. There was a consideration on who was featuring in the middle, and we made the movements and dynamics calibrated so we still have him as our focal point, even if we're all the same height or similar heights in our movement. So that's a big thing that I really appreciate about that. So he has this moment, he's higher, and then they go, notice that we have kind of like this every other low-high effect there, but notice if they're crossing in front of him, they go lower, just so we continue to see him. They have this little hop on the end. That was really nice. You hit, I believe it's that little bass there. That boom, boom. Ooh, I'm a fan of that. So subtle, but it allows you to be introduced to different sounds of the track that you wouldn't really catch as much in a live format or just listening to the song on the radio in comparison to headphones. You wouldn't catch it if they didn't introduce it in that way. And now you see it's become a focal point in a memory that allows you to go, I really like that moment because it made me learn something about the track. And that to me is good choreo. When it teaches you something, whether it's in structure or it's in showcasing the beauty of the members executing it, or it's furthering lore, or it's, you know, allowing us to grow and learn something with the music through the musicality is what we call that. That's a win. Double thumbs up in my book. I love talking about that. And I love the little snaking through to the inside, having your next feature. Well, no, it's still the same feature, isn't it, right? I love that. Boom, boom, boom. Really nice right there. It's that organic, like, band drum kit is what you heard there with the sound. We're here for it. Love it. Oh, no, it wasn't. So, like, I think it was Nicholas in the middle. Oh, it's still Nicholas, yeah. Ding, ding, ding. And he like brushes over his mouth. Da-doom. They end up adding over, and then they take the arms and they do a little accent with the feet. And then this, oh, I'm such a fan of this because it goes subtle. So they have to understand their weight in order to allow that huge shift of energy to take place. So they go weight, drop it. Weight, drop, and also how to use the knees, how to use the body. It feels like we're very familiar with understanding how our body works collectively so we can create a common place in our movement, which is really nice. And feel anymore. So they have to be very mindful also of this hand not being overly influenced by this drop that they're doing. So I love that there. And I like the switch up of the arms before they go a little heel toe out, which is nice. And they do a little butterfly, which is more of an old school hip hop move. We've heard of the butterfly before if you've watched me, sometimes in the Afro terminology side of things, but because we're going more funk, old school, and they're not the same styles, keep that in mind too. It's a very different conversation we could have, but I'll spare you for now. That having the hybrid, it works very well, and I think they do it very well in how they structure it. It's fun. So I always wish there was more groove in play, personally, yes, but when we pick our battles, we're going to celebrate what we have, so we accent there, and it does look like we're doing a subtle trace down with a little body roll. I like that. Thank you. That's a little groove. Okay. Then I like the kick, and then they bring it back, the little tap to the pickup there with the arms nice and straight. Well, Kay does not have his arm up, did he? Is it because he was pulling up his pants? That happens. Sometimes if you just wear jeans that aren't jeaning for you, you gotta pull them up instead of do the arms. I get it. And then we do a little body roll, boom, with a little boom, pop accent on the tail end of it. I love the punctuation on that. Little heel taps, come on. And then we take the arm and we create the torso shift over. I love that choice. Having the arms over, and I love the subtlety of this little sweep across. Oh, it's so fun. We have the taps to make it a little bit stickier, a little bit more bouncy without doing a full bounce. And then we create a really nice kind of just switch over in the slide. It's so fun. Then from here, and we take it back, boom, 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 and I like how we hit it really nice. We go nice and subtle, bum, bum. And then right there, I love where we have different lines. I believe it gives that front line is going over to the left side, and then the middle line goes right. No, yeah, their right side, and then the left side, which is cool. He goes, da-na-na-na-na. Okay, there. Tell me more. They all branch away. They say goodbye, and we have our next little grouping. They go, ha-ha. Little elbow in. Little three-step turn. They go, boom, boom, right there on the bass. Doing just like you heard when they kind of thumped on it earlier in the circle. You're now very familiar with it, so if they're choosing to go on that part of the track again, they need to kind of repackage or reintroduce a different texture, different dynamics, so it allows us to be reintroduced and redigest it in a good way that doesn't feel too predictable. So that's fun. They go over. I like that we're nice and frozen with a hinge, and then they look over to kind of recognize our next member, which is Maki. So he hits it like he's about to do a lock-in, isn't it? Then they go into a smeeze, then they hit it over, da-da-da, so they waited until he had his run. Then they push a little bit forward. They say wait. So I'm assuming they're like wait, wordplay, love it. Then you have some of our guys come out, boom, with some ball changes, some little walks. We're here for it. I love that boom, boom, with the accent with the shoulder where they hit each other. And they go hit, hit, bump, bump, and they all accent down. They say come on, and it goes back front. The subtlety and the kick kicks. Oh, come on. I love the little lean back on that as well. Very nice. It goes 1, 2, and we branch it over. Ball change with a turn, and then having Joe come forward. Joe's another one. I feel like Joe, though, because it's only one syllable, that it feels, you know, a little bit easier to integrate. But Nicholas is a whole 3-syllable tongue teaser if you're not careful. So I find it so interesting, these names. It's really fun. And then you have K. That's it. That's fun. And they switch over. We got EJ. I like that we go popping out in a pose, and some of them are making, you know, really fun comical poses, some not so much, but like comical in moderation, which is nice, you know. But I also like just kind of the popcorn effect of it. Instead of going just like clean out, like in succession, you have some just pop outs from the back, from the front. So I'm not used to seeing like a popcorn effect in our poses from a column like that. Normally I'm used to seeing that in like a clump or a different type of formation structure. So I like how I learned something from watching that. That was cool. Yeah, you see, and I think that second half had a little bit more structure where it ascended and then descended, which was cool. Then they all go, or they turn around. You have somebody on the side. You have K, and then you would assume that they're about to go in the circle because how they set it up was similar, but no. You have a little S that was made. He walks forward. I like the switch there. He grabs the hand, and then he makes it a mic, which reminds us of whenever they had the little partners over on the side. And I think it was Kay's feature there too, which I find to be interesting. I love that. And then they all separate, part the C's, and Kay goes to the inside, and now we've started the semicircle. And notice, once again, we have a space open for the feature in center. They're all lunged or leaned a little bit more here, so it's easier to frame them, and you're not really being combative on like, ooh, who's our feature here? It's very clear just based on the context of structure of the transitions. So they bring it over, boom, boom, and then we switch it over. And I like that boom, which is nice, versus a lot of this little brush, which is cool. Then you go boom, and they kick, and it's the same thing, subtle, boom. So they goes hit and pa. So ooh, what ends up happening? So I think it's any more. So Yuma's the first one to actually use the hand, then everybody joins in. And I like the head, and then they go right there into a little pas de bourrée, and then they use the hands. Feeling. And he keeps his hand up, and everybody claps it to travel it down. Now let's see if Kay ends up doing it this time, so we know it's not because he doesn't know the choreo. I literally think he was having a wardrobe malfunction on stage right. And thank goodness he was in the corner, so he could easily take care of it, because I didn't clock it at all when I was watching in the full run through, only in the analysis portion, which is always like let's give him some breaks. It's life. Sometimes your pants fall. We get it, you know. So I'm glad that we got him secured so we can see it all nice and everybody doing it together. And but anymore, and we do a little the tap. Feel anymore, boom, and they travel it over. And I really like how we let the hips be influenced off of that choice. Remember, hips are support for our groove and the funk styles, so that's really fun to see there. Just sit it over, boom, boom, boom. Change it. I think, are we on a phone? Maybe that, I'm not quite sure. Then this subtlety, I love whenever we get some subtle moments. Now, subtle doesn't mean easy, and simple doesn't mean easy either. It means it's easy to digest visually, but it doesn't mean easy by physical like execution, right? So this part is really nice. I like the shoulder on it, boom, 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 with the head, and then we walk it forward and we reset it again. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da, and then we do a little head nod, and then we're taking it and pressing that weight on that right side, boom, over. Notice that Kei and Harua, they have different openings or the different spacing with their legs, and notice how their torsos are influenced off of that. So if you notice with Kay, I'm assuming Kay's probably he could be the one that was also in the running for being in the lineup for Hyphen. His name sounds familiar. So I'm assuming he's one of the older ones or more seasoned in movement quality. That would be my guess. Harua, he looks very young. I'm not saying he's not competent. They all are. They're fantastic. It's and team, right? But it is interesting how I feel there is a sense of maturity in K's movement quality. It could just be because of exposure to the style, age, whatever. But normally I go off of movement quality exposure over the age because it's about the quality, not the quantity a lot of times. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you notice here, his stance is way wider than what you're noticing from Harua, and then his posture is a smidgen hinged over, but we're allowing a little bit more freedom in this upper body to create this nice shift over, which is nice, especially if you're doing a subtle weight hinge. But Harua, I'm assuming, is also our feature here, so he could be modifying for the sake of vocal stability. So we're going to keep all of that in mind whenever we watch this, but I always like being able to take a little snapshot and look here. Even with really, really clean groups, and this one's not as clean as some of their other stuff, could be a schedule thing, could be so many different things. I've been seeing them do a lot of like posting over the past couple of months, so it could be just a lot of information they're putting out, which is fine as long as they're healthy. I'm always a healthy advocate for take a nap sometimes, you know. Anyway, but that's my little. I like these little moments where we get to explore differences in spacing can influence up so many other things, right? It's cool. They go ahead in, so I like the little shoulders on that. A little high-low is cool. They go set it up, boom. Your next feature, all he did was take his hand, boom, throw it over to the side of the head, which is nice. Made us clock him, but it also felt like it was a trigger to go into this next section, which I believe is... Oh, so they take the leg, it goes knee, shoulder over, and then they do the beginning portion of a backslide, which I really like. Then they reset it over, boom, and they do a little heel, tap, tap. Then they reset it, and then... Joe, because he did this very first simple effect, when he goes and does all the other things, very easy to clock and see, which is what we really like. Then we do a nice little heel toe. I love the body roll. I think coming from Harua. Do you see what I mean? It's about the quality, not the quantity. And watch Harua be like the oldest and he just looks young. Anyway, I love the little clap. Super cute. Changing right now. No, this was cool. Boom, really nice heavy reset into a definitely like snaking. I would go more so there, but not quite the full effect. But I like how they got lower and lower. EJ said, boom, let me wrap something real quick. He comes up, they all come up. Do-do-do-do. I think they did a triple, but let's see. Down, down. So they have like the French shows reverb, but it's because it's hair. You can't control hair. I mean, you can do so much with hairspray, but when it's just down, it's hard to do, right? So boom, boom. Double up on the body. I really like the fullness of that because it allowed a really cool effect because everyone's hair's down. And I love the stop. Everyone was frozen. And I like different levels represented. They take the arms up and it goes dun, dun, which is cool. They take the arms up, boom, da-doom, da-doom. I really love the build on the quickness of this and the transition into our spacing. That was cool. And they switch it up, boom, boom, with the head, and then they go and separate. So now we have this opening. So this, to me, feels like lore potential number 2 because of this connection with the hands. When they make shapes, it's hard for me to deviate away from that idea. But you let me know if you've seen that in something else. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. We will find out together in due time. But I like how he does the little assist on one of the members before he threads himself through. That was nice. He used the member behind him more as just like a press off, not as a full reliability. He could have technically still done this even without this member, but it does make it a little bit smoother in having that little extra lift to do this thread with this illusion because he is slanted down, which is cool. So they all walk away, and I love how he ends up pulling it all the way through to make it feel like he literally just slipped and slid all the way to the floor. So that was cool. They go down, then they all break away into a nice little formation, and he hits it boom boom. And this right here definitely feels like a really fast pas de bourrée sequence. Yeah, so there's subtlety in the upper body with a heavy pas de bourrée, quick double time situation going on in Match Nicholas's runs, which are nice, but what makes it complex is it is a polyrhythm. Like I said, this is going on a completely different timing than what's going on in the lower body. It's really nice. It looks simple, right? It's not as simple as people think it is because of the type of isolated demand that you have to put on your body and the tension that requires for singers. That's a lot harder to do than you think, and also sing. That's still polyrhythmic too. So that's really nice to see. I love that. Bring it down. And then it's a reverse whoa is what that felt like. Boom, boom. Come on now. Come on now. They throw it like the clap. Do-do. I love the little twist of the feet on that was really nice. They go the do-do-do-do-do, and love that choice too. He says, come on. He goes, and I really love how they do a subtle opening. They have Nicholas do a nice little just gliding around, and then he ends up in a spot. Boom! Kay joins the scene once again, and they go out, and they slowly rotate onto that outside leg, and they pick up the opposite leg from the inside, and I like that extra rotation. Kay just naturally walks forward. It's just a fun way to introduce your next feature. And they go in, boom, da-doom, nice little hop. Goodness, airtime, my guy. Goodness, I like the kick on that. Now, I will say part of me was expecting us to be doing a Skeeter Rabbit or something like that because it has a funk influence. And when I think funk, a lot of times I think locking. But they didn't do that, which I think is absolutely fine. Let me see. Let me actually go back and talk through this a little bit more. They have feeling. Oh, yeah. Feeling. Is it this? 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 I don't know. If y'all can let me know. It's so hard to tell because they're far away. And they've done it a couple times, so I'll let you guys answer that for me. Because I like how he takes his leg and flicks it over to the other side. That was fun. And he goes, I think it's here. Feeling right now. And that right there is like a little bow and arrow. I think I've heard that called. And I like the little hop, hop, hop. So the pick up of the foot is fun. And I like the arms nice and pressed down. And then feel any more, and I like having the arms twisted to get to the other side. So it's the same kind of idea on one side versus the other, but the introduction into it is different, and that's why it feels really nice and it feels more advanced because it is more complex. And I like the little dig on that, that's where they're doing this little, not really quite an envelope, like I would talk about it in ballet, but this reversal of an extension, you reverse it, and it kind of feels like you're rotating it behind your leg. I think that's really fun, and I love the arm on that too. And the switch ties back in the first two courses that we saw with the switch up. Really nice, and it goes knees into the butterfly, and they go up, boom, nice little moment there before we transition. And I just subtlety, boom, 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 with the head. Come on now. Walk forward. It's similar to what we've already kind of seen. Da-da-da-da-da. It's just a different person in front. Da-da-da-da. Then we lean it in. Remember what I talked about, where there's some differences in some of our leans, but you can tell with Fuma and Kay, they look familiar in this choice. And it could be because they're in the jeans. Maybe they got to wear jeans to look the same. I don't know, but they are giving similar leans, and I think that's part of the reason is where and how far their legs are from each other, and the weight distribution too is cool. So it goes subtlety, really, really nice there, and I like that with the knees on that. And then this was fun. So notice in the back, you have two in the back, and then you have two on the outliers. So you're technically like splitting center with your two outsides, so you can clock it, even though EJ is still, and he's technically our center on this, which is totally fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they have 9. I don't know why I felt the need to count. That's okay. Anyway, but yeah, because it feels symmetrical, and I was just curious. The AN team has an odd number, yes. But this is an add-on, so you have the 4 little popcorn effect, and then you're gonna have from there have your internal 3, and then your outside 2 join. But notice they didn't all join at the same like amount of time distance apart from each other, but it works well because it made it feel like a really fun add-on build, and because they were so clean, you can very clearly see when each respective group joined. That's impressive. We love it. It goes slide, boom, da 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 doom, and then look at the height. Look at that. We are here for that. Pretty equal on the lift, which is nice. They go back in, boom, boom, boom. I like the slow extension of the arm, which is nice. 3-step turn, which is fun. And there's our little to the inside, little circle, half circle is what we would probably call that. And of course, we have our little shoulder shrugs. And then they go into a butterfly again, and they switch it up. I love the little speed change. We represent right now. Okay, so it feels like we have it like right on our eye. And we turn, and he has it here. Boom. Here. Oh, it's here, and then we bring it over, which is nice. And then we present it down. I personally like residual post-music outtake like finishes. Now, I don't know if I'm a fan of like just straight up we're doing an activity or doing something functional post music. Not as much of a fan there. It kind of feels a little awkward, but here I don't mind it whenever it's a bleed through of a phrase that's already kind of been set. I think that's more of my preference. Remember that But I don't know. It's just interesting whenever I do see it. Like, I like it in some cases and I don't in others. And I'm trying to learn more about myself so I could be a better advocate for my own perspective and the masses. I think it's just really fun. But in general, I really liked this. I think it was a different type of vibe. Not used to seeing and team do it, but I am used to seeing this concept done. And I think they did a fantastic job doing it. I think whoever was on the choreography team did a great job, and if there's lore, I am intrigued to learn more about it and how it connects through all the other things I've kind of seen. I think this is really, really fun, especially knowing it's also very recent. 2 months is recent for me on a lot of groups that I look at, so I'm here for this. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch, and thank you, Jay, for the request. If you guys want to be like Jay and want to request reactions, analysis to me, I have a tier on Patreon called In the Pocket. I also have another one called On the Flip Side if you even want me to take on a choreography in a Jess take. That is also an option. But if you're like Jess, I don't necessarily want to request anything from you, but I do want to see what you do outside of YouTube, whether it's early reactions or things that you look at in real time. I have all of that on Patreon. I have another tier called Welcome to the Gang. It's definitely more on the affordable side on that sense. And also, if you're like, Jess, I can't pay any extra money right now, that's fine too. I have free member access on a couple things that come out every once in a while there as well, because I always think that it's really fun to just be able to celebrate the art of dance with different members with different commitments, but also be able to just sit here and celebrate what's super dope, which is stuff like this. So if you want in on it, those are all the different kinds of options you can do. But if you're like, Jess, I'm just fine on YouTube, I'm excited for the discussions on it nonetheless. You guys know me, I know you. I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.